to see you all connected today. My name is Luca Derisi. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Mega International. Very happy to speak here today. A word about myself and about Fred here with me. So Mega is a leader in the market of enterprise architecture. We have also been working on data management and data architecture for over 15 years over the world. We are based in Paris with offices around the world, customers in over 50 countries. And I've been in Mega for over 10 years. Fred, a word about yourself?
Yeah. Hello, everybody. I'm Frédéric Fourquet. I'm part of Mega. I'm product marketing manager, and I'm an experienced product director in AI, customer data, and consulting manager for now 20 years.
Thank you, Fred. So today we'd like to talk about how you can unlock the transformative potential of data governance with enterprise architecture. How do you put these two dimensions together, and how does it bring synergy to your customers? Now, I'd like to start from this big belief we have at Mega, that transformation does not work in silos. And I'll give you an example. I'll give you our own example at Mega. So Mega was a on-premise software provider for many years. We were born years ago, and we shifted to a web solution and then to a cloud-native organization. Shifting to a cloud-native organization is not just a technology change. It's the whole organizational change. IT is the business. So when we shift to cloud native, it's not just about rehosting the software on Azure or AWS. It's a new way of managing sales. You monitor the backlog, the churn, the annual recurring revenue. You monitor the way you interact with customers. And one important thing is you change the way that you manage the data. So when you are in SaaS now, well, you need to make sure that you manage European customer data within the European Union, that you manage the US customer data within the US, that you're compliant with GDPR. So any technology change is going to bring new ways of working. It's going to bring new data to be handled and new risks associated with it. So that's what we mean by transformation doesn't work in silos. It's a collaborative effort. And if you manage technology on one side, your business processes on the other, and data in data puddles, that's not going to be efficient for your organization in order to transform with agility. And when talking about silos, if you listen to the Gartner, this schema comes from this paper by the Gartner, which I'll talk about more in a few minutes also. What they make is the difference between 4 stages of maturity in the centralization and communication of data, starting with data puddles. Funny name to say that the data is stored in little puddles of water in different business units and organizations, all the way to the point that you go through ponds, data lakes, and until the data ocean, where the data is shared and communicated. Initially, data is scattered per business unit, per technology. There's a lot of duplicates within the data, and it's not easily accessible to the business. For instance, when you want to run new projects and you need information, it's almost impossible to find. On the other side, when you go to the data lakes shared between several business units, and then the data ocean, that is the perfectly centralized, federated management of data, then it's centralized, it's rationalized, you don't have duplicates, and it's easily accessible to the business. I love these 4 maturity stages by the Gartner because they show this evolution. So transformation doesn't work in silos. It doesn't work in puddles. Your data needs to be integrated with the rest of IT, the business, and risk management. That's our strong belief. And traditional approaches to data governance, they can sometimes take a lot of time. The goal being always to share that information, but also to understand and to federate the different data silos. The typical approaches, they start with automation, which is great, we do it too. Data discovery, so go take what you have in your databases, understand the structure of your databases so that you can deduct the data catalog, the business glossary, and on top of that, run the exercise of data quality, data compliance, data lineage, and provide insights to the business and share the data. But what have been the struggles with traditional discovery-based approaches? Well, one, it's a lot of data. It's petabytes of data that need to be understood and categorized. And very often, the automation works up to 50%, but then you need some intelligence on top of it to really make sense of the data. And once you make sense of it, then you have to share the data literacy, the data culture around the organization. And very often, business unit managers don't want to share the data. So it's a lot of change management to make. So this is where a new idea can come up, a new collaboration between the chief data officer and the chief enterprise architect. The chief data officer mission is to share the data knowledge around the organization, to make sure that the data can be trusted and reliable, and to share the culture. But on the other side, who is the enterprise architect? Typically, in an organization, you'll have 10 to 50 enterprise architects with a global vision of IT and the business, and then up to hundreds of solution architects that work on application design and deployment projects. So enterprise architects are those who typically rationalize your application portfolios, drive cloud migrations, and digitize some processes, for instance, like internal consultants in the organization. But their key benefit is that they have this big picture of the business and of your applications and technologies. So how can these two work together? Well, typically, I'll just tell you two more things. Architects in the organizations, that's what they do. They have good knowledge of the customer journey and the processes. So they work with marketing, for instance, to understand the customer journey, the different touch points with the customers, and how technologies answer the different touch points so that it's optimized for the customer. They will also describe, for where it's necessary, how processes implement the capabilities and customer journey and are supported by applications. So it's this global view. They will work on business capabilities. Business capabilities are a way to understand the business. For instance, top capabilities will be procurement, sales, and operations, and then you will drill down into sub-capabilities. The goal being to connect applications to capabilities, to rationalize, to map dependencies, and identify gaps. And then you will, of course, rationalize the application portfolio. Then when you go down to the data architecture understanding, typically the data architect's view is going to be to map three layers of data. The conceptual layer, where you are defining the terms and the concepts used by the business and how they're interconnected. The logical layer, that's where you're going to talk at the application level, what is the data model used by applications? And the technical layer, which is basically inside your databases. The data architect is going to view this top-down approach that understands the concepts and declines that all the way to the databases. It can go one way and the other. And now, to let the stage to Fred, what are the topics where there are strong synergies between these two roles in the organization that don't necessarily talk to one another in a traditional way? Number one, you'll see that if data governance has principally an automated bottom-up approach, it can gain a lot of value from a top-down approach brought in by data and enterprise architects. You can improve the data lineage and the consistency between data management, application, and processes. You will shift from a flat business glossary to a connected view so that you can shift more easily from the data puddles all the way to the data ocean, to reuse Gartner's words. And then thanks to a capability view, you will be able to identify data redundancies and data gaps, shifting from a business unit perspective all the way to a capability and business-oriented perspective. So this may be a long list, but now Fred has basically done this for 20 years with customers. Can you explain us a bit more what that means in real life?
Yeah, thanks, Luca. So let's have a look through some mini case studies, I would say. So just what kind of enterprise architecture are for the bottom-up data governance approach. Okay. So this case is for Newpen, some position industry. This is a customer from Mega. Is on the train side. And so the idea and the use case is about accelerated shared data language creation. So at that customer, the customer started with a huge data discovery phase, really intensive data discovery to build a first data catalog with, as you mentioned, again, petabytes of data. So the idea is then next to create the shared data language for all the business and all the stakeholders. But there was a little issue that actually the data was too much technical complexity, because the data as technical is not self-explanatory, is not business-oriented, and if you have the same data within different systems, you know which one is the best one and the right one to be golden data. So the idea is to make the link with business and say knowledge stakeholders to build the business glossary. So the chief data officer decided to have a specific approach by involving additional conceptual business knowledge that was provided by the enterprise architecture, let's say, field, especially the consulting expertise. So again, you mentioned for enterprise architect, the enterprise architect is used to work with concepts, to model concepts, and even can provide concepts to the knowledge and business stakeholders to shorten the time needed to define the concepts, to find agreement. And it's the best way as well for the people to understand and to mix with the bottom-up approach that is still necessary, but they're just giving a way to shorten the time and to reduce the complexity, to finally get a first stage for data governance. We're going to see the next stage a bit later. The second element is about we've been having that quote from chief data officer is that data doesn't fly in thin air. So yeah, data is not just existing on its own. Data is created in systems. The data is transferred and then exchanged between systems. So we're going to see how it can help chief data officers do the data mapping and lineage. Okay, for this customer, this is a French-based international bank. The idea was to try to, let's say, to speed up the setup of the data governance. So, as I said just previously, the data is created in application, get transformed. So that information about application and about data flows, any chief data officer would have to do it. So this is something that has been already done by, let's say, enterprise architects as part of solution architecture management. First, you have something about content, especially we can see it in the finance system as an example. But this one helps to create, to build the data mapping on the data governance side. And then you have as well the flows. Actually, it's not only about the title. Actually, it's about the detail that you have in solution architecture that can be used with the semantics to build the data flows in data governance. So this is the first view. This is when you create your data gov for the first time. But after data gov has to be maintained, and obviously with solution architecture from the ES side, you know what's going to happen in the IT system. Then you can get ready just to do some maintenance on your data gov and to have some more agility and on the data governance program side. So we talked about let's say systems and flows, but something that is really important about linking business processes and the data governance. So this case is for an aerospace industry. It's worldwide as well. It's one of our customer again. So this is an example of an order management. We can see that the data is created in different steps of the process. So we can see the information about the customer. We can see, let's say, the orders created, the invoice, and so on. So the business processes, especially at this aerospace industry customer, they're using the processes a lot, especially for the quality and for the customer level of service. The business process give context about the data, and especially the intention between the data for data usage. So that's really useful because it helps. It helps to perform easier data categorization and mapping on the data gov side, and as well to create the data cycle management, because obviously you know what's going on, what the different let's say employees are doing in processes. Okay, the next one is about a case. and we're just going back to that that idea from Gartner. It's going from a data puddle to data ocean. So data architects can help. This one again, just our French-based international bank. The idea is okay. As the chief data officer, the chief data officer, at some point he created his business grocery. That was the first use case. And after, in order to serve all the use cases that he has to implement, knowledge, literacy, compliance, in order to foster innovation and transformation. But the business glossary is a simple element. It's like as a dictionary because everybody understand businesses and every actors in stakeholders, I would say, in the company understand. This is a way to get everybody on board. But the next step is about dependencies, and you need to understand the dependencies between the business concepts in the business glossary. This element and the CDO reuse the data architect view. This is the concept model that you shown, Luca, a little bit before. And this modeling gives you the ability, and it gave the ability to the CDO to see the link concept. So this helped. First, you have a wider view and not to stay stuck on the data from the level in order to create the global data lake. There was as well better data governance methods from one side or the other, because as soon as you have a concept changing, you can assume that all the link concepts will change usually. It serves as well for impact analysis, because you can see from the IT side or from the business glossary where the change is coming, and you can adapt from one side or the other. And finally, let's say business glossary plus, let's say that the view about links in context. It's a way to provide all the information needed for the data scientists and the data labs, the data forge, in order to create valuable data innovation. So just to give some quotes directly from chief data officers that we meet frequently at Mega. How does agile data governance enterprise architecture approach provide synergies in your company? So we have three main benefits. First one is the first one was about linking EA and data gov together. So the CDO had strong efficiency gains and better data communication. That's the first one. The second one is about using EA methodology in data governance. So that was a way to structure and promote the data approach. And the last one is our customer that was just mixing BPA and data gov together, the better data mapping and categorization and overall quality from the processes to the data itself.
So we really leverage synergies with process understanding, solution architecture, and enterprise architecture as well.
Yes.
In fact, this is something that in the last 2 minutes was also illustrated by a use case by Gartner with TC Energy. TC Energy, very quickly, is a company based in US, Canada, and Mexico. And by the same organization, they're doing energy, of course, oil, gas, and power across the different countries. And by its multi-country nature, data was fragmented. It was split over multiple data puddles. They count more than 30. And different business units had their own data. Marketing had its own data. Sales had their own data. They didn't share it. That created inefficiencies and a lack of access to information. And so very interestingly, what they did is they put together enterprise architecture and data governance. And especially what they used is the capability maps. So instead of connecting applications this time to business capabilities, they connected value streams to the business capabilities. And thanks to that, they were able to identify redundancies and reduce costs by over $1 million. They were able to have a more holistic and business-oriented view of the data instead of just the catalog. And thanks to that, they were able to communicate the value of the data much better to the business. So thanks to this business-oriented approach, they make 1 million cost savings in year one, and now they're looking at making another 20 million cost savings with payment discounts, order management, and fee management. So rationalizing the data with a business view to increase efficiencies. There again, as we're closing the session, who is Mega? Mega, as I said, 2,000 customers, international company, leader in all the quadrants that we work in. So we're very proud of that. Is it on EA and or on GRC? We use both the data discovery, data governance approach, so bottom up and top down with enterprise architecture and the business capabilities and modeling done by enterprise architects. And it's this synergy that we try to promote for our customers with success. And also we are present in 10 countries with customers in over 50, so we can support you wherever you are. And that's 20 minutes. If there's any question, I'm happy to take them. If not, you can come to our stand. And thank you again very much for listening to us.
Thank you.